Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. We've got another first look at Venom 3 to break down. It seems like it's going to be somewhere near the opening scene if it's not the opening scene. And I know a lot of you have been asking about the actual Spider-Man of all these Sony spin-off movies that they've been doing. Because there were a lot of deleted scenes of them trying to put the symbiote on Tom Holland during Spider-Man No Way Home, so clearly they were trying at the time. And Tom Hardy has revealed that this is probably the end of the Venom solo movies, like they're calling it Venom Last Dance, even though the title of the movie will be a little bit different. Probably going to wind up being Lethal Protector, but it definitely seems like Sony is trying to make Tom Holland the live-action Spider-Man of all these Sony spin-off movies. And it seems like they've been relying on a lot of the stuff that Marvel has been doing with the multiverse, especially what happened in the Loki series, tying everything in the multiverse in general together. I know there's a ton of questions, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. This year and the next couple of years are going to be like peak Spider-Man. There are like 4 Spider-Man movies and shows coming out this year. Then Beyond the Spider-Verse, Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4, 2025, 2026. So Spider-Man fans are going to be eating good for the next couple of years. But during the footage, you see them filming a new Venom 3 scene with Eddie in Los Mateos, Spain. What might be going on here is they might just be filming in Spain, and it might be doubling for Mexico, and he's still in Mexico after the events of the last movie. During the movie, he's meant to be on the run since the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage and the Spider-Man No Way Home post-credit scene. So at the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage, he fled the United States to Mexico. That's where the hotel room, the scene on the beach were supposed to be. And then he was transported to the MCU universe version of the hotel room by Doctor Strange's first spell. During the Spider-Man No Way Home post-credit scene, he just walked from that room with the very surprised random dude to the hotel bar getting super drunk, talking to Cristo Fernandez, the bartender, about everything that had happened in the MCU up to that point. Like they recapped the events of the MCU through Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame with Thanos, the Snap, even Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Most people remember him as Danny Rojas from Ted Lasso. The fact that they were talking about Spider-Man is a little bit funny because obviously it's Venom, so they want Venom to be thinking about Spider-Man like he was on his way to New York City to talk to Spider-Man as if they were going to face each other before Doctor Strange's second spell transported him back to his Venom universe. And what it looks like Sony is doing is they're trying to set up Tom Holland's Spider-Man as their main live-action Spider-Man, even though I think that it's just one of their contingency plans. I don't think it's actually going to go down this way. Technically, they still own the movie rights to the character. Like Sony owns Spider-Man, they just continue to share him with Marvel one movie at a time in a couple spin-offs. Like the deals that they make are really only for that one solo movie. Marvel's current contract with them extends to Avengers 5, but that's considered more of a cameo level role. Sony's had mixed results with all their Spider-Man spin-off movies, and they definitely want to supercharge those. They have this Sinister Six separate franchise they're trying to set up. They kind of did that in the Morbius post-credit scene. There were all those Spider-Man Easter eggs that they tried to work into the Morbius movie, then took out at the last minute. It sounds like a lot of that was in service of not hurting the performance of Spider-Man No Way Home because it was doing so well at the box office. But right now, the Venom movies are their biggest box office earners, and they're not going to be doing any more Venom solo movies after Venom 3, apparently according to Tom Hardy. So they need to do something to legitimize this separate Sony Spider-Man universe, this Venom universe that they created, and that would be introducing a live-action version of Spider-Man. Normally, I would love to say that it's going to be Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, but it just sounds like everything they've been doing, trying to connect this to the Marvel universe, is so that Tom Holland can become that main Spider-Man of their universe. But I think that's really just meant to be one of their contingency plans. Like there is a Symbiote saga that Marvel has planned for Spider-Man, but it won't be Spider-Man 4. I think they're saving Spider-Man Symbiote for like Spider-Man 5 or Spider-Man 6, however many more movies Tom Holland winds up doing eventually, if those do work out. Right now, Spider-Man 4 is supposed to be more of a friendly neighborhood, ground-level Spider-Man kind of movie, like taking him back to basics. That's why there's been all this talk about him crossing over with the Daredevil characters, with the Kingpin character. So if we see Spider-Man Symbiote Saga teasers, I don't think that will be to like the very end of the movie. Like, oh yeah, by the way, there's this piece of the symbiote that's like slowly making its way to New York City. Because remember, it was down in Mexico the last time we saw the symbiote. It's one of those little teasers that it sounds like Sony is keeping in their back pocket. Just in case things fall out with Marvel and we want to take the character back, we have this Spider-Man Symbiote Saga that we're going to launch. Right now, the rumor about the plot is that the real main villain of the movie is actually going to be a version of the Xenophage, which is a race of cultures in the Marvel comics that feed off the symbiotes, like natural predators to the symbiotes. And for the most part, the only real natural predator to the symbiotes is actually Null, god of symbiotes. They're meant to be apex predators, so someone that could actually take them down is meant to be really, really powerful. There've been a couple deleted scenes and a couple references to Null, but obviously Null isn't going to be a big character during Venom 3. He'd be like an endgame Thanos-level threat for the Venom characters. They wouldn't go straight to that in a trilogy. You save that for like some giant, huge universe crossover. The report right now is that during the movie, the xenophage won't be from another planet like the symbiotes, as it is in the comics. It'll be the result of the government's genetic experimentation on the symbiotes in the previous movies to create their own anti-venom type of symbiote weapon. But it won't literally be Anti-Venom from the comics, which is like a totally different character. Anti-Venom was created when Eddie Brock had separated from the Venom symbiote briefly. It left traces of the symbiote in his body. He developed cancer and then went to one of Martin Lee's feast shelters for help, which they featured during the Spider-Man games. They even featured Aunt May's feast shelters during Spider-Man No Way Home briefly. While Eddie Brock was there, Martin Lee used his Mr. Negative powers to cure Eddie's cancer, but the process also caused the symbiote traces in his body to change and bond with his white blood cells, creating a new hybrid anti-venom symbiote. It manifested fully for the first time when the regular Venom symbiote tried to bond with his body again. All of its powers, as you'd expect, were mostly healing-based, in addition to regular enhanced attributes that all symbiotes give people. It can cure any disease, any impurity in his body or other people's bodies, and it's completely mindless, unlike the regular symbiotes, so when Eddie Brock is wearing the anti-venom symbiote, he's fully in control. They might eventually have some Easter eggs for anti-venom in the Venom movies, but I don't think they have any plans to completely separate Eddie Brock permanently or semi-permanently from the Venom symbiote. They've already done the symbiote body swapping trick a couple times in the movies, like with Anne Wang, Lady Venom. There are also rumors that Patrick Mulligan will return as a version of Toxin, as a lot of people assumed after Venom Let There Be Carnage because of the ending with his character. Monsters. He got the Toxin symbiote as a result of their final fight. Reportedly, that character will go on to become another anti-hero symbiote like Toxin does in the comics, and he and Venom will have to team up to stop Xenophage, who will be the true villain of the movie. And after that, Toxin will just go on to continue being an anti-hero in the universe on his own, which is pretty much how things go in the comics. But Toxin's history is that he's a relatively new character. He wasn't introduced till 2004 during a Venom vs. Carnage storyline. So Circle of Life, the Carnage symbiote, realizes that it had been pregnant and was about to spawn another symbiote, but it hated the idea of Toxin before it was ever born because it was this prophecy that the 1000th iteration of their lineage, the Toxin symbiote, would become way more powerful than any of them before. So Carnage hates the idea of Toxin even more than it hates Venom. What a happy family, because you have to remember that Venom is kind of like Toxin's grandfather. It made a plan to kill Toxin as soon as it spawned, so it's like killing your child right after it's born. But the spawning process left him so weak that he couldn't do anything about it. But because Patrick Mulligan just happens to be nearby, it puts the Toxin symbiote into him as sort of a temporary holding vessel, saying that he'll come back when he regains his strength to kill both of them. So Carnage didn't give Mulligan the Toxin symbiote because he cared about him or he trusted him. He was using him more like a tool, like a plaything. Then when Carnage does become strong enough, a bunch of other characters stop him from killing Toxin. Venom actually stops him, hoping that he can train Toxin to fight Spider-Man and Carnage. He's also responsible for naming the new symbiote Toxin. He calls him Toxin because his symbiote smells poisonous to the other symbiotes. But he has all their abilities just turned up to 11, so he can do all the same things that Carnage can do, that Venom can do, but just more. Later it's revealed that Mulligan has a strong enough personality and sense of morality to show Carnage mercy when they fight. So Venom and Carnage then realize that it's possible Toxin could eventually turn good and team up with Spider-Man against them, which obviously they don't want, so then Venom and Carnage try to team up to kill Toxin. Like I said, those three symbiotes' relationship is very complicated. Eventually, Peter Parker Spider-Man does help Toxin during the fight, realizing what's going on, and then gives Mulligan the same version of the Uncle Ben speech. With great power comes great responsibility. And Mulligan walks away, spending his early days as Toxin trying to teach the symbiote how to be good. It's a little bit what you saw at the end of the first Venom movie, with Eddie trying to teach the Venom symbiote how to be good. Let me know in the comments, though, when do you actually want them to do this Spider-Man symbiote saga? I think if everything works out, they'll actually just do that during Avengers Secret Wars, because they can be a little bit more like the comics. Even though their movie version of Secret Wars will be very different from the comics, they can do some Easter eggs from the comics, like Spider-Man getting the black suit during Secret Wars. doesn't it just make sense to wait till then to actually give him the suit? Because that's going to be well after Spider-Man 4, so you can do your friendly neighborhood ground level Spider-Man with Daredevil, with Kingpin, those other characters. Then you can actually do symbiote stuff. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. We'll probably get some more Madam Web footage pretty soon. Really interested to see how they tie that to the multiverse, and it definitely seems like it's going to rely on Loki in his multiverse tree. Like they're slowly using the Madam Web character to pull all these characters together inside their Sony Spider-Man universe. We're probably going to get that Deadpool 3 trailer at the Super Bowl, so of course I'll post a video for it as soon as they release it. And we'll probably get new Kraven trailers and Venom 3 trailers after Madam Web comes out in theaters. So click here for that brand new Deadpool 3 teaser trailer, and click here to learn about the Punisher coming back and all the Marvel and Netflix Defenders characters. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.